So in Bausk, let's call it in Yiddish, Bausk, and this is a typical structure of the towns here. You see a rectangular square. This is the city hall, okay, and here was the market. And who is around the market? Jews, because Jews, what Jews do? Trade, crafts, and so on. So all these houses here, that, starting with that of the red bricks there, this is was Jewish shops here. Almost all of them were Jewish shops. It's a central place where everybody comes, and if they are, the shops were the same house was the shop, and in the same house were the rooms of the family, or on the second floor or behind. That's why the entrance to the Jewish houses were always from what side? Street side or back?
Back.
No. Why back?
No, street side.
Street. They want to attract the clients. They want to enter, to buy, and so, or to sell them, and so on. So it must be from the street. Gentiles, what they do? Mostly farmers. So to the field. So their doors face the field because it's more comfortable for them to straight to the fields. This is the difference, and actually, so we can find Jewish houses or non-Jewish. Okay. No, it's not cop. It is the reality. What do we have? Okay, let's go.
Are there any signs of mezuzahs on these houses?
You see, 50 years already passed. Not 50, more, 70. From 1941, there are no Jews. So you will not find here. It is very rare. If you do find a mezuzah, somebody has put it especially.
I think so. Before the paving here, where's it going to be?
But is that...
One entrance and another, and they don't use it, because there are no Jews today. Why do two of them? Because one was to the rooms and one was to the shop. Okay. Even this, you see, it is painted, okay, and as if here was the door.
You look.
Very happy in town.
Wow, you can see the old.
The shul was.
Huh?
There was also so the shul was here, and it was destroyed during the war. And you see, there is the river. So mikveh was not far from here also, near the river. And here along this street were the Jewish shops, different enterprises. Of course, it was not paved so nice. It was, what was it called? Blotte.
Blotte. Mud.
What does Atvet mean?
Open.
Open.
Yeshiva, there was not a famous yeshiva here.
Riga Street, yes, Riga Street.
Because during the First World War, most of the yeshiva went into the interior.
Yeah, it was part.
Oh, that's good.
So I think we don't need to go further. We see you are you. There was some
It's got the lunch.
So this is a very typical architecture, Jewish architecture. You see above the windows,
the keystone. There's the keystone in the
yeah,
lintel.
you see it is abandoned. And, this building, an old one, even the trees are growing on the
Do you know where Rav
So Rav Kook, no, we don't know where he lives. I think that since most of the houses were wooden, so maybe it was burned. Rav Kook left this town in 1904 and moved to the land of Israel.
He was saying I keep walking the streets and looking at the areas.
Why it is
beautiful.
abandoned?
But there wasn't enough room for the Jews. Few Jews bought it, bought it.
So let's go and see something.
That's what's happening now.
Simple. It's in the Bria.
But shtetl it is much broader. The meaning shtetl is much broader than some geographical place, right? It is way of life. It is Jewish spirit. It is culture. It is it's us. Okay.
Do we know where Rav Kook lived?
No. Let's go.
One second. Is there a restaurant now in Yerushalayim? There's a restaurant named Kiko House. It's on Kiko Street.
Now it's condo.
You can see it. These are all doors. This door is some maybe 100 years old. Well, you don't forget that there are no Jews already. How long? It's already 80 years almost. Yeah, no. Overpainted. Imagine.
Well, we should give the Gospel by the... Yes.
Okay, good. Very good.
Okay, be careful of the car, everybody. This is one of 7 cars in the city.
Going to the boys. Maybe
Not a
here.
cigarette butt. And if next time I come here, there is apple tree on the
Let's here near.
The shade is good.
In the
I just
shade,
wanted to get a
yeah.
feel for how big this property is.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
The pulpit is yours. The pulpit is mine. Which way would be Yerushalayim? Which way would the other
Yerushalayim.
be? So maybe the park is probably this direction. Okay. As soon as the ladies have taken their photographs.
Where was the shul from?
Here. This piece of ground here is where the shul used to be. And we've just asked Yulik that Yerushalayim is there. So in all probability the shul faced this way. The Aron Kodesh probably was facing this way. Okay. This was the shul here. This piece of dirt was. Okay, so one of the main reasons that we don't find shuls in the shtetlach of Latvia and Lithuania is because the shuls were made out of wood. And unfortunately, one of the ways of executing the Jews was, I said yesterday, we spoke about the pits that were dug outside the shtetl. One of the other ways was that they would fill the shul with Jews and then set it alight. And so there are very few shuls left, and in fact Lithuania was famous for their wooden shuls, and in fact they had non-Jewish architects that helped them construct the most incredible shuls. And there are photographs. I'm going to. There's a book about it.
Tomorrow we're going to Zesmarai,
One of the last shuls. So we will be correct. We're going to see one of the last remaining shuls, and you'll see that the architecture is beautiful. And we're also going to have a look at some of the typical architecture of the Lithuanian homes, and you'll see that there was a lot of emphasis on wood and woodwork. They were very skilled in that area. The second observation that I wanted to make was that I think for many of us that grew up in the homes of our grandparents or great-grandparents, or not only grew up in their homes, but were entertained by them, and they spoke to us about the shtetl, showed us photographs that were black and white. And I think for me, one of the major transitions when I started traveling in the Baltics was to see that there was color. Because I always thought that the Baltics were gray, black, white and gray, that the rivers were gray and the fields and everything else. So, I mean, just to appreciate that we actually are surrounded by color, for me, is why I think some of these, there are many reasons why the heritage tours are important, but I'm saying that it's more fundamental than just the superficial understanding. I'm saying that by seeing color, that's what we're hoping to do. We're hoping to impregnate everybody's understanding of who we came from with that color, that it should bring to life the people that were there. And I think that one of the most beautiful ways that we can bring to life the people that were there is to learn something that Rabbi Avraham Yitzhak Kook, Zechrona Tzadik Livrocha, said, and he was mamish in the shul. So where we're standing, we should understand, is where Rabbi Avraham Yitzhak Kook learned. And I'm going to say over some Torah, which all of us, I have competition.
He's saying hello.
Yeah. Maybe that's Rabbi Avraham Yitzhak Kook saying, I'm here, I'm listening. It's instead of a shofar, lahavdil. He's telling us he's here. So le'ilu nishmato, in that his neshama should have an aliyah, and also that all the people that perished, perhaps even in the shul. And it's quite amazing that we are here 5 days before the yahrzeit of those people that were killed in the first Aktion. If you remember, Yulik said 28th of June and 1941, and today is the 23rd of June 2016, and I think that's amazing. In terms of just the timing, it's very, very special. So let us learn a piece of Rabbi Avraham Yitzhak Kook. How many mitzvot have we got in the Torah? 613. How many positive? 248. How many negative? 365. That's the underlying idea. On top of that, we say the following, that for the mitzvot asay, you have schar. For the mitzvahs that are positive, you have reward. For the mitzvah lotase, the negatives, there is a mitzvah, part of the punishment, which is in the mitzvah itself, is that there is malkot, lashes, right? There are, however, exceptions. If there is a lav she'ein bo maaseh, if a person does a prohibition which there's no action for, it's a thought, but not an action, there's no malkot. There's another one, lav hanitak la'aseh. This is a little bit technical, but you'll see how it opens up. Lav hanitak la'aseh means that you can have done a negative prohibition, but if you do a positive deed, it undoes and fixes the negative. One of the examples is that the Korban Pesach is supposed to be eaten at night, and it should not be left until the next morning. What is it called the next morning? Noisar or notar, right? That if you leave Korban Pesach over until the next morning, so what is the lav hanitak la'aseh? What is the positive commandment that undoes the negative? It's to burn it. We burn the Korban Pesach the next day. Now what is, right, please God be Meher Rabbi Yameinu. Now what about tshuva? Is teshuva a positive mitzvah? Now we're going to start opening Rav Kook. The Chida, and his name was Rav Chaim Yosef David Azulai. The Chida asks a question, and he says, if we have a mitzvah of teshuvah, and that is a positive mitzvah, what are we supposed to do after having done a negative, an avera? Teshuvah. How can you ever get malkut? How can you ever get malkut? How can you ever get the punishment of lashes? Why? Because surely it's a love hanitak la'aseh. If there's a positive mitzvah to do teshuvah, nobody said Litvish Torah was easy. If there's a mitzvah to do teshuvah, and teshuvah follows a love, then you can never get malkut because it should be undone by the positive. Isn't that a good question? When do you ever get malkut? If you have charota, right? We do vidui, you have charota, azivat achet, we know what the processes are for teshuvah.
Says that if you do an avira again, and then the second time, third time, after a while, it becomes part for you, and therefore you're not going to have any haracha.
You won't have charota. Let's hold it there, guys. The bottom line is, how do you get around the conundrum that you can never do an avera that has malkut because there's a positive mitzvah of teshuvah? Says Rabbi Avraham Yitzhak Kook, Zichron Tzadik Livrocha, we mustn't look at teshuvah as being just a positive commandment that is b'di evid. What is b'di evid?
After the fact.
After the fact. So most of us, until this point I'm sure, would have thought that teshuvah follows an avera. Says Rav Avraham Yitzhak Kook, the reason that we get malkut is because teshuvah is a lechatchila. In fact, Chazal say that teshuvah was put into the world before the world was created. This opens one's mind to the vista of teshuvah. Teshuvah is an underlying subterranean river that's running under life. And it, correct, and it pops up like life-giving waters at different moments. So that's the answer. The answer is that it's not halav hanitak la'aseh because teshuvah is not a b'di evid. It doesn't come after the fact. It's a lechatchila. In fact, what we say is that the natural human condition is to cleave to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to be close to Hashem, and teshuvah is at the source of life. The whole of life is the challenge of dealing, as the Ramchal, Rav Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, one of the great Italian rabbis, said, is that we live in an imperfect world. Says Rav Moshe Chaim Luzzatto that it is that God created this world in such a way that we live with imperfection because therein lies our ability to perfect ourselves. If it wasn't an imperfect world, there would be no change. The fact that we, each of us are, believe it or not, imperfect, despite what we might think, that is the way that a person perfects themselves. And teshuvah is that life-giving force that permeates all of our lives to bring us to the point of perfection where we bring the world back to the place that it should be, where we're close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That is a taste of Rav Avraham Yitzhak Kook.
We go back
Okay.
to the bus.
We're going to the bus now. If I can just say that what we're going to start doing on the bus as we drive out now is I'm going to start talking about shtetl life, descriptions about what happened in the shtetl so that we can start getting the feel of that, and I also want to start introducing everybody to the Muslim movement and that endeavor to become perfect and to perfect oneself through the Torah.
We need some, the ladies need some WC towels.